in a machine in which machine would be doing when we are feeding them a data. So we are having some data and we are feeding them data. So by the way, before I start, data, information, knowledge, and I would say wisdom. What is the difference between a data, information, knowledge, or a wisdom? See, I should be speaking something which it is not right or wrong, but what is your understanding on the things which we are slide data, all of you deal day in day out, which is raw things which if I am not, it doesn't make sense. Information, when I process it and arrange it in a specific manner, it makes a sense. Knowledge worker or information worker, and due to that you are here in this class of machine learning. Knowledge, whenever and show it to your senior or to your manager would not be going through 100 pages of report. They would be just interested what is the inside or what is the egrets of report, or from one report which would be having many pages. That is knowledge. And then wisdom is, I would say, abstract form of knowledge, where the knowledge various I would say place, various platforms, and let's say I am saying a thought for the day, child is father of man, or humanity, child is father of man, or honesty is the best policy. So these are very small thoughts, but this thoughts has been proved right over a time. Philosophy has been involved in this. So this is a knowledge which is digged out of, I would say, this is a wisdom which has been digged out of knowledge. So to knowledge, we has not reached the wisdom. Now here I would say I have again bifurcated data science into various phase which has been there in organization. People used to manually or automatically inserting the data into database. Then comes the data analysis, where extracting and reporting the information or slicing or dicing. Comes the business analyst, where providing the insight from business. Now comes the data science or data scientist. Now data scientist is a consultant, I would say. It's a consultant and advice. So he is a human being who knows little bit strategy. He knows mathematical computation. He knows programming language. So he tries to give you a optimum solution. All of you have a basic understanding of how cricket used to, or I would say cricket used to be played, or cricket is being. I am taking a scenario, IPL auction. So in cricket, now it is a season of IPL, Indian Premier League. Now when IPL auction is happening, and in IPL auction are all big shot or celebrities. If you take Mumbai Indians, it is being owned by Ambani's. If you take owned by, I would say, a celebrity or some business group, Indian Cement. So if a franchisee wants to purchase or sell some of it, Ambani, who is an owner of Mumbai Indian, wants to purchase somebody. Now, will they go with whether he is a good player, bad player, and all that? So how well he is playing. So let's say in Mumbai Indian, there are two brothers, Hardik Pandya and one more for Indian cricket team. But his brother is not playing for Indian cricket team, even though he is there in Mumbai Indians and he was being purchased. So when this it has been decided by some calculation. And that calculation, that suggestion is being given by an individual who doesn't have a cricket, he doesn't play cricket, but he understands cricket. So here, he or she would try to extract the batting, bowling, and other things. Apart from that, how he is being connected in, I would say, media, social media, and other stuff. So based on various parameters, and that is being decided, and then this franchisee used to purchase. So a guy who would put his word into a consultant. He may or may not be data scientist, but they would be doing the job of this. So data scientists would be having, they would be having understanding of micro and macro level economics. They would be having understanding of, I would say, business strategy. They would be having understanding of mathematical computation, because when machine learning data science comes in picture, it is the base of machine a practical tool of mathematics. It is not math which people used to joke. I would say the practical tool of mathematics. Today, we are running away from mathematics because in our school days, we were being told that this is the thing you have to claim or you have to mug up, and we used to omit that in examination. Today, if I engineering, hello.
Record I
would request people who are not speaking to mute them. Hello. I would request people who are not speaking, mute themselves. Okay. So today, if I say that, let's say, how would you help a farmer? We as an Indian, having our 60-65% of population being into agriculture and engineering, who might or first or second year of engineering, if I would say that, can you help farmer to get good output by using of us would fail at that time. We will not be able to provide any solution to farmer that how he can increase his yield by using some simulation differentiation. If I try to devise a Monte Carlo Markov chain simulation which takes into consideration integration, differentiation, and he can predict yield guided that when the rain would be coming. So see, we had not learned mathematics in a practical way. We had just tried to cram or score to get marks. So our mathematics is fundamental of mathematics as a practical approach is missing. And same would happen when you would be taking a use case. Let's say I want to predict sales. I want to predict sales. I am given some parameter like profit, miscellaneous expense, salary, stock price, sales. This is a parameter in UD. So, and then we will leave. You can see my screen, all of you.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say these are my 4 to 5 variable. This is my profit, this is my miscellaneous expense, this is my salary. Now here I would be applying some basic formula, mathematical formula. Anybody aware regarding this formula? You might have studied this thing into your high school or graduation. What is this? Anybody? What is this equation known as? Nobody? So this is equation of line or a quadrant, I would say a simple equation of a line. So I can solve, see, and whenever I equations or whenever I take mathematical function, most of you would be scared. Now this is essence of machine learning, I would say. Now here, this is nothing. If I might have is equal to some coefficient into, I would say, profit multiplied by profit plus some coefficient value multiplied by, I would say, salary, so on, so plus some error term and constant plus constant. Most of you might have, if I might have written this, most of you might have understood. To solve, to predict what would be, let's say, I have been given some historical data of this sales, let's say some historical data of all these parameters are being given to me, and I am being told that you need to predict the sales for next quarter. you need to predict say for next quarter. So I would say when I'm taking 5 years of sales data or 20 quarters of sales data, and this would be just a prediction which would try to give me a trend, or I would say a pattern based on either I would say a relation technique where I am doing a regression where my dependent variable or the variable which I am trying to predict of independent variable or variable which will help in my prediction are independent variable, and I will set an equation, and that equation would be executed by Excel, R, Python, SAS, SPSS. These are all machine learning tools. So I would say I can predict this. Is there any way or I would say I can do the trend or forecasting? Is there any other way out or any other technique in this? So I have tried two quantity. One which has to be predicted, another which will help in prediction. So I am building a relation between two quantity. One is this, which will help which is known as independent variable. This will help in my prediction, and this is another quantity which will be predicted, and this would be helping in prediction. So one is dependent variable, another is independent variable. We are not going into jargons of this right now. So this is two quantities, relation between two quantities. One which will be predicted, so relation between my dependent variable which would be predicted, and then one variable. So I am trying to build a relation. Based on the relation, I will predict it. Is there any other thing or any other way out which will help me casting? Anybody? Now he will try to understand that what problem is, and accordingly he will use the technique. Either he would use a relational technique in this scenario, the result. So all this in backend would be using mathematics, but a data scientist would be a guy. So he is not a developer. Currently, there are myths in market. He is not a coder. He is not a developer, but he knows mathematics, he knows business, he knows strategy. Now, let's take another scenario. Most of the call center industry or BPO, KPO industry, I would say, they are going to change in future. How they work, they will totally change into future. How they will change? They will be changing based speech analytics and with help of deep learning AI. Now today, if I would say call centers which are always facing human crunch, a human resource for HR very optimally. Those who might be handling the call center operation, they might be always having some they might be always having human resource problem, because call center is a career which is not being taken seriously by a guy who, so they may not be think this career option seriously, so there is always attrition, higher attrition. Now when there is high managing this, they would be always having some problem. Now let's say I am taking a scenario of a voice call center. Now there is a forecasting every day, and I had staff accordingly. Now I had 100 agents who would be responsible to take 100 calls to match the target. But it normally doesn't happen because I have to go with what would be the absenteeism, what would be the attrition and all that. So on a given day, maximum I can expect 90, 95, 96 people out of 120 people who are there in my role, my capacity. Now let's say there is a scenario in which the volume might have increased 10 percentage or 20 percentage volume might have increased on given day. Say my workload will increase. Now how I can try to do this optimally by implementing some chat name an organization, but that organization is trying to give a solution by using it. So normally chatbots are not successful in currently trying to succeed. They are not able to replace human being, because they are not able to provide. Customer get connected to a call center, they will always like to speak with human, because human can understand another human, and that is the reason normally the average call increases, because two humans are speaking. And if my average call handling time increases, then I can not take to finish the call within 600 seconds or 720 seconds. But if some call goes for, let's say, 1200 seconds, or I would say 1260 seconds, it would get an impact on the volume. Or overall, I would say if this scenario happens with 10 or 15 agents, then a team lead will get an hit. Now, a customer is speaking to an agent. So an agent, so this is some innovative solution where, let me, so so a customer is speaking to an agent. When he is speaking to an agent, his voice will go to an agent, but there would be a machine or a robot or some chatbot. Now here, voice going to machine, this voice would be converted. Now, once this is, a text has been converted, then there would be something which would be agent, and then the agent will greet customer, will try to have his or her name, and then customer will try to that he or she is facing the problem. So this voice has been converted into text, and then from the text I will try to extract the intent. Intent means the X which is greeting and all that, I will try to eliminate. Now after extracting this intent, cleaning the text, I will do information retrieval. I will give me some result with a probability. So here I would be using some machine learning algorithm which will give me the probability. So so intent base that to this problem in past you had given solution with a probability, let's say 90%. This solution kind of problem has came, and this was the solution which was being given. Again, I would say there would be another solution which would be with some 80% probability, which would be with the probability. Now this entire thing, whatever chatbot or machine or robot might have extracted, will be displayed. Agent will read this solution, and then he will think for a second or two, and then he or she will communicate the customer. Now in this way, and a call which was previously this, let's say in this, the call might have been of 720 seconds, 11 minutes. Now with this all thing, the call might have ended. Now here, my agent has not been replaced, but agent is being helped by a virtual SME. But a robot is, or the chatbot or virtual SME is doing all things and giving till the time agent, because agent will require to understand the customer, greet and all that. And within 60 seconds, the solution is handy, and he can give this with volume. If I can handle in this way to 30 to 40% of volume, attrition is not going to impact me. I would say solution is trying to develop the solution. Here, I would say speech analytics comes into picture. Speech analytics. Here, my text mining comes into picture. So text mining again, right? Now here some information retrieval comes into picture. So information retrieval, I would say, is it is a concept of digging the data in things from a big data solution, right? So in this way, this is entirely an end-to-end. I can say it is an AI kind of solution. And AI would be nothing, but it would be something which would be ML plus a repetitive task which is being done in an automated fashion, because nobody would replace a human brain. As I told you, machine learning is trying to understand a pattern, try to give you the forecasting, or it will do the prediction. So in AI, if you might be thinking that it can think like into this area from last 14-15 years, in world there would be no system which can completely mimic brain, because human brain is in a scenario which it might have not encountered earlier. It can act in a scenario which it might have not seen in past. Machine can make some permutation and combination which we used to call word of jargon, like I would say cognitive knowledge and other things. But I would say it history, historical data, and it can mimic 0.5 percentage or 1%. But in most of scenario, when it's in there in historical data, then it will bound to fail. So in current scenario, AI is defined as machine learning applied on repetitive tasks. So this is entirely a AI solution. So here I am using a speech analytics, I am using a text analytics, I am using big data solution, give solution to my. I might have used IVR, or I might have directly replaced the robot also, or I would say chatbot. So customer view that chatbot is currently a failure, or it is trying to pick up. So in this way, an organization thought of why not to have an optimum solution, digital or virtual SMB. Okay, got it? Yes, no? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So, so this guy or this amoeba would try to understand a business unit, and in future a data scientist would be more required than a manager. I'm making very sarcastic statement, but this statement is going to be true, because in future there would be two, obviously another it would be machine. So to manage both kind of workforce, a data scientist kind of guy is to be, or it would be eliminated completely in coming future. Not right now, but I am making this sarcastic statement. It will prove right within 5 years, 7 years down the line. So if you go further, if you are trying to do entire thing like machine learning, it would be having pattern recognition, it would be having statistics, it would be having data. So different combination permutation would be there. Now normally whenever you design or you try to coin out this entire thing, then this is some architecture. Now you have to understand, this is very simple, but again it is some complex into itself. Now here I would say, I will again not name the organization. So here there are different databases. From that database you are trying to extract your data, you are doing the cleaning. After cleaning you are trying to insert the given, running some data mining engine. When I'm saying data mining engine, it would be some techniques like time series regression, logistic regression, neural network, vector analysis, or I would say class decision tree, naive Bayes, k-mean clustering, or fuzzy logic. So this would be data mining engine. Now, on that, the pattern evaluation will happen to have the trend of pattern. So this would be, I would say, stored into your knowledge base. Now, this is a database, this is a knowledge base. What do you think? What would be the basic difference between a knowledge base and database? What do you think? What would be the basic difference between a knowledge base and database?
Knowledge base will be from the individual only, and this database will be the collective information from all the sources.
Okay. To certain extent you are right. Now knowledge base would be concerned with my problem, which problem might have a source from multiple source, and I am trying to extract the input data from multiple source. Let's say I am trying to extract from some customized database. I am trying to extract from the outside world database. I am trying to extract all that, and then I am trying to devise a solution. So when knowledge base is there, I will try to build my model into my database, which is related to that problem which I am trying to solve. Now that pattern would be stored into this. So old patterns, let's say I am having a problem in which I am feeding in a data of last 15 years. And then I'm now this system is evolving over a time of 5. We tried to build a system in 2014-15. I took 15 years of data. So I can say I took a data since 2000 onwards. 15 years. In my knowledge base, whatever pattern which would be of 2000, 2005, 2010, those patterns, if they are not relevant, they will be eliminated. And 15 or 2018 will be, I would say, coming into it. So this would be, I would say, this knowledge base will update itself. Automatically updation is possible with some algorithm. This would be having some edge on typical traditional database. So here I can use some intelligence. Intelligence only thing is, so this is known as knowledge base. And from here I can have the user interface. I will show you the entire end-to-end in a demo kind of thing. So in that, I will try to highlight entirely. But this is a typical architecture. Let me show you a scenario. So okay. Is anybody from healthcare insurance sector here? Is anybody from healthcare insurance sector? Okay. Now, let's say I want to do a prediction of this kind of file. So my objective here is to make a prediction of insurance claim, which is probability that whether it would be paid or would be denied. Now in insurance, and this I am taking a typical scenario from Western world, not Indian context, because in illness and we used to write it in words and all that. In Western world, we had typically specific codes. The procedural codes are there, diagnostic codes are there. So entire thing would not be in some problem in my right finger, right lady finger. Then there would be some code for that. If some anesthesia is been given and operated, there would be another procedure for it. There would be another diagram coming into this file, I would say. So you would be having this kind of file. Now, if you want to make a prediction from this kind of file, and this kind of file is having, I would say, variables. So this is one source of data. Another source I would say is see, I would be having entire different codes ranging from this procedure. So I would be having nearly 10,000, 15,000 such scenario. Now this would be coming from another database. This would be coming from a medical billing and coding organization, which I have to take reference. So this is one code. Then there is another code which would be coming. These are my procedural. So here I would be having code. Let me see. I would be having some different alphanumerical code. Then there would be another code which would be, and this would be lying into, I would say, a base. My objective is to predict this insurance claim. Now, I will try to depict this in, so this is my objective, predict whether a medical claim will deny or not by information. So, from all those database, I am trying to extract this information from this file. So this file is having 200 plus variables, but I want to have hired for me to do a prediction. Then I will try to link this. So to get, I would say, minute level information of this, I would be database would be there. Here also another database would be there. I will take gender as it is. Age, again, I have to take into consideration that if I the age group, because I have to categorize this age, I will be getting one age figure. When I'm saying categorization, I would be having, let's say, age of a child, so 8 years old. Now, whether, so I would do a categorization of age. So normally I cannot do, so I am having this as my, sorry. Now, I cannot do a categorization, let's say 12 to 15 is one group. Just a moment. My keyboard is 12 to 15, 15 to 18. 15, why it is not okay. 15 to 18, and then so on and so forth. But if I'm doing categorization, let's say one category might be there. So take some reference from the guidelines which has been set by the entire insurance industry. Do that. Now I would say, after doing all those things, I try to build, or you can see that I took a clean, and this is the phase where I had tried to link each database cleaned and all that, and I dig out on bottom. It is been training, and here I am storing those patterns. Now whenever I would be getting a new claim, it would be going through this prediction model, and then so this is a process. ANSI file, I will be having a database, I'm doing a categorization, linking with various database, I'm passing to a tool, I'm doing a prediction. Right? Entire model as it is, I will have to have some coefficient which has to be built. So this is some coefficient which I am trying to build for a logistic regression. So when I file, which would be having this as the entire formula, and this formula will take an input would be passed through this formula, and output would be the entire phase, which would be like this. This would be entire phase like this. Okay, so in any questions till now?
No, it's quite clear from my side.
Okay, good. So I would suggest take 2 minutes of break, and then we will start doing a practical thing using a cloud-based solution. Okay, do that. Okay, so again I am sharing my screen. Are you able to hear me? Hello? Are you able to hear me, all of you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we will try to understand one basic machine learning. I'm just sharing my screen. Just a moment. What do you see on my screen right now?
Excel sheet.
Okay. Okay. So see, now this is a problem where I am having nearly five like gender, age, payment method, churn, and last transaction. Let's say if I want to predict churn, now what would be which parameters would be more impactful? Which parameter will be most impactful when I am predicting? Would be gender, whether it would be payment method, whether it would be last transaction, whether it would be age. Which parameter would be most significant? What do you say?
Age.
Okay, some age. Okay. Anybody else? Age. Somebody told age.
Gender.
Gender. Okay. Then any other answer? Age, gender. What about payment method?
Mode of payment.
Oh, okay, mode of payment or payment method. Okay. Anybody going with the last transaction value? So I would say here you had given answers to me, right? Now I would say most of you will land incorrect. To understand the business problem here. Had you asked me, Dinesh, what is the business problem first of all? Now, in many scenario, age can be the deciding factor or significant can be significant factor. In this data, my gender is a significant factor. But this was a guess which was been there. So without you will always land into problem. So I would say here gender is important, but you haven't understood what the problem is. None of you asked Dinesh for what last transaction stands for, what payment method or mode of payment is important here, how you are try to ask me that question, or none of you had the position of data. So when you are trying to do in this way, then you will go wrong or a solution, optimum solution. So here, first of all, the problem is I need to predict churn. Churn means the customer will come again, I would say facility, or whether they would not. So if I am trying to predict churn, churn is my categorical variable. When I am trying to say here, if I would show you, so churn is having two categories over here, which is loyal as well as churn. Also, now, there are 5 parameters in total, and there are, I would say, 996 observations in the 96. One is a header, here also 996, here also 996, but here I am having only 9, here also 996 observations. So now when I am trying to predict churn, whether the customer will trying to first understand the entire thing. Now here the payment methods are three kind of payment method. Either it would be paid in cash or here. So this is also my categorical variable because I am having three categories. This is also my categorical variable because I am having two categories. Gender, male and female is not a categorical variable. Last transaction, again, it is not a categorical variable. It is a random variable. I would say continuous variable. So here there is some missing data, and if gender is going to be deciding factor or significant factor, I would say here, as I know this data are the main churning gender. So women's who are having age between, so first of all it is women's. So due to women's are in age group of 25 to 40 making cash payment with low transaction value are not coming again. So there's some female who is between age group of 25 to 40 making a cash payment with the value which would be with less than 50. Here the last transaction value is in dollars. So less than 50, the probability of that female can be attractive. So this is entirely, I would say, a business scenario. Now coming to understand data. So as I told you, there are 5 in total. Whether this data is a biased data or not. Whether this data is a biased data or not. There should be a question from you. This data. There should be a question which should come from you. So first of all, you should ask what is a bias data. When you are saying bias, what do you mean by bias and all that? Bias data, as I am trying to predict churn. So here, as we discussed earlier in sales, so I am trying to predict churn. And I would be predicting with help of gender, payment method, last transaction, and my age. So this all variables will help in prediction, and this will be predicted, right? Now when I am saying whether my data is, and this is very important when we are trying to do some data understanding, cleaning and all that. So here or let me take you to the, so after this data I will do some transformation. So this is my data. I will do some transformation because when you are giving it to some or in your laptop, then it has to be transformed. When I'm saying transform, so it should be like this. It should be, I would say, you are transforming male as 1, female as 2, payment method as credit card, payment method credit card as 1, check, and churn as 0. So this you are just doing a transformation, nothing else. Now here when I am saying data is a bias, let's try to understand. So this, they transform data. So if I am trying to predict this churn and churn is having missing value, I will try to understand this. Now first of all, tell me what is the average what is the total value of 1 here? How many ones are there? What is the count of 1? You can see in bottom. What is count of 1? You can see over here. What is count of 1?
576.
575 because 1 is header. Okay. So let's say my total is how much here? 900. Just 1 is 575. My churn is, if I subtract this, sorry, I subtract from, so this is my churn. Now what is the percentage of my 1 into this data? So 63% my 1 is dominating. So there is more dominance of 1, right? So when I would do a prediction or I will build a more prediction will happen towards 1 because more data is of 1. My 63% is 60 category 1 and 23%, sorry, 36% data is of 1. Oh, sorry, 0. Right? So now data, because it is biased towards one category which I am trying to predict. Now second problem I am having here is some missing value. Now let's read 4 options which I would be having. Either I can eliminate the missing value, I will not take into consideration. I can replace the missing value. Having nearly 8 to 10% of missing value, I can replace the missing value. If it is beyond 15%, 15, and you can eliminate the entire missing value. So here I am having 96 missing value, which is nearly 10%. So I would the missing value. So this is another aspect of data understanding. So when I am replacing the missing value is nothing but I don't have some values over here. So replacing the missing value, one of the common practice for replacing missing value is replace with average. Now if I am going with this technique, replace with average value. So what is the average here? What is the average here? You can see here, average is 63% or 0.63%, 0.63 or 63%. So average value is point. If I am taking average and if I am rounding off that, it would be tending towards 1. So when I am replacing the 96 value 0.63, so here my values would be round values. So if I am taking this, now if I am replacing with missing with this average, what will happen? Now my total will become, I would say, my total will become, so total would be this plus this 996. Now as my replacing with average, which is 1, coming into this, and this will remain as it is because my replacement has happened with average and round off as 1. So now if I am trying to again try to understand this, so when I am, it has increased to 67%. Instead of 64, it has increased to 67%. Now, if I am not in position to, that should be my typically approach. Now, this is some basic thing which we try to understand from data. So we have to deploy some other technique of replacing the missing value that we will see. So my data is a biased data. Then there comes distributed. Now, for this, I have to understand this entire, I would say, bell-shaped curve. So here, my entire data distribution, nothing but this is my average. This is not a Cartesian coordinate or Cartesian system. This is a bell shape, which is also known as bell curve, or I would say probability. So here is my average, then my standard deviation. So in this, I can have control chart also. I can have 6 sigma, because sigma and 6 sigma. So here, because my data, some data would be distributed in this way. If I am taking into consideration my data distribution would be in this way. This I will try to be starting the course because this will take more time. So currently I am not explaining this, but this data distribution is integral part to understand the entire data. So this standard deviation would be nothing, but this would be average plus 1 standard deviation, which would be my, if in other words, if you are saying, it would be my upper control limit. Same way here, it would be average minus 1 standard deviation. I can have further, this would be plus 2 standard deviation. Further I go, I can have average minus 3 standard deviation. And this can be my average plus 3 standard deviation. So in this way, this would be my entire 6 sigma. 3 sigma this side and 3 sigma this side. So positive 3 sigma and negative some other point of time. Now if my data, some data is lying, let's say in this portion, if some of my data is lying in this portion, it is very bad. It is like an outlier far from my central tendency or central thing, which is my mean or average. So if my data is very close to average, it is good. It would be, I would say, I consideration the significance, confidence interval and all those, and that are integral part of when we are trying to understand the data distribution and all that. So I'm not going into it, but here my play would be it is deviating, it is varying, and mean or average. So when I am understanding the data distribution, I have to understand. So if you want to do this, even in Excel also you can understand basic of descriptive statistics. So to understand this further, if you go, you need to have a descriptive statistics. Where you can understand descriptive statistics, you can have further a good grip on predictive statistics. And then there is another field which is evolving, which is known as prescriptive statistics. So this descriptive statistics is understanding data and all that. So in Excel, let's say if you can have a plugin or an add-in, you can get this add-in here. I would say you can get this add-in here, data analysis tab. Now to get this, I would say you can having option. Under option, you would be having add-ins. Under add-ins, once you click on add-in, you will be having add-in, Excel add-in. Click on it. So click on this and click OK. Then under data tab, you will be getting this data analysis tab. Shall I show you again, once again? Hello? Okay. So now let's say I'm doing a descriptive statistics here. I'm clicking on descriptive statistics. Are you able to hear, all of you? Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. I'm clicking here and selecting the entire range. I want analysis by column because columns are my parameter. Labels are in first row. I need an output in another file. I need a summary statistics at a confidence interval or confidence level as 95%. 95 is nothing. Area is known as 100% of 1 because probability cannot be greater than 0. So this area is between 0 to 1 or 0 to 100%. So this area is 0.5, this age, and this area is also 50%. So when I'm saying the confidence level interval as 95%, I mean to say that I'm not taking into percentage, so 2.5% this side and 2.5% this side. So it would be, so I'm taking into consideration 95% confidence interval, or I would, in other words, I would say I'm taking 95%. I'm normally eliminating the area which would create a problem for me. If I'm taking 90% confidence interval, 5% I am eliminating this side. If I am taking lesser confidence interval, I would say I am trying to eliminate more outliers, more noisy data and all that. Now coming to, I'm clicking OK. So see, I get all the statistics like mean, standard error, median, mode. Normally, these are not being that important when you go for, I would say, machine learning and all that. Important parameters are, I would say, your mean, your standard deviation, you can take either skewness, all this. Once you are well versed with all this four, then you can go for this standard error. Don't try to touch error at first go because it is like a fire, it will burn your hand. So first try to understand. So now I am trying to remove, these are duplicate names of each parameter. So I got the statistics for all. Now which parameter is having higher thing like COV, coefficient of variance, where I will divide the standard deviation by mean, the lesser value of COV. Now here this I am predicting. So here, why this has higher value? Because there is a much biasness, missing value is there. So this value, this churn. Now let's say I give you a scenario. Let me take you to one example. Okay. Now Now let take, these are some stock price of three companies. Three, Reliance Power, Tata Power. Now you are being told to invest in one of the company. Now these are a company. I don't know anything regarding the stock market, but I know how to do basic statistics. Now, based on to be invested in long term, again I am saying in which stock to be invested in long term based on two basic statistics like mean and standard deviation. See, how would I decide this? I will calculate an average. I will calculate a standard deviation and then I will divide my standard deviation by, so I will never for a long term return because my company too is not having much variability or variance is very less, because from this figure I came to know variability is very high or beyond, going beyond one point in this. Because see, why I am saying this, on one given day the stock price is 1000 on some given day, so here fluctuation is very high. Here fluctuation is not that much, except if I eliminate, let's say, this value out of this 2, then more or less my fluctuation is not that much. Here also I would say I don't have much fluctuation. First option is, or from I would say data understanding, I can make my decision. This decision would be a preliminary decision. So in this decision, which I can test further on by building the model and all that. So this was this till this aspect we understanding, and then the data preparation we will do in a. So I would open, so let me save this file with, I'm saving this file, save this file as churn exercise CSV. Okay, save, yes. Okay. Now we will try to open a tool, a cloud-based tool. We can do this in R, Python, but if some of you are not, go and do it in a cloud, which is known as Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio. Okay. Now you can use this if you are having the Outlook login credentials. This is free. You can use for 100 experiment. So each when you are building the solution, each would be, I would say, each would be a new experiment altogether. So let's say I'm taking a new data set. So I'm selecting. So again, I would show once I start it. So I already did some experiment here. Now I am starting a new experiment. So here I'm trying to import a new data. So I'm going to it. My data is being stored here. So okay, it is a CSV file. I'm saying yes, it is uploading. Here you can see it is uploading. It has been uploaded, and I will have a blank experiment, and I will name this experiment as machine learning experiment. Today is 19th March. Now here my data would be there. So there would be two data. Sample would be default by Microsoft. So here I would say this is my data, churn underscore exercise. So I will just drag this data. Now I will first see whether the data is same or different. So it is having 5 variables and 900 each variable. Here is a basic statistics. So this variable is having a mean of 1.4. There are 2 values. These are categories, 2 categories. There is no missing value. Same way for age, same way for payment method, same way for churn. So here you can, so this is just you are seeing the variable. Now here I want to replace the missing value as we told. So further to you for this. So cleaning the missing value. So here, first of all, I have to select which column I need to replace the missing value. So I'm saying I need churn and will. So churn is a selected column. Now here, churn is selected column. Now you can see, there are many ways. See, replace with mean is the most. Replace with remove entire row, remove entire column, replace with PCA, replace with mice. So I am going and saying replace with mice. And then I am saying if you want to replace with mice, propagate. Now, if you want to understand what this replace with mice is, you can go into the link which is being provided in help. So replace, understand this. What is mice? So here you can see. So if you are novice in this, you can read this. So this is nothing. Multivariate imputation using chain equation or multiple imputation of chain equation. Or in simple words, I can say when you are taking into consideration this data, it tries to say you that, where is that data? Okay, so it is trying to say you, okay, if you are using mice, it will try to replace this value based on these 3 values. It will replace this value based on these 12 values, so on so forth. So it is not replacing based on the entire average, but so in this way, once you don't have understanding, you can go over here and you can try to understand. So you have to click on more help. Do this entire thing, I would say. I'm trying to do this entire thing. I'm building the model and then we will evaluate model and then we will deploy the model. And see the time. We only have this 3 things. So here, now I am trying to so I am building a model saying 80% data, train the model, 20% make it for testing, a train model. So I have to link which algorithm I am using. So I am using, let's say, I will also show you one more thing over here. Now let's say I had to this, so I will try to show you that thing as well. So see, I am trying to understand which variable is more important. Oh, sorry, I forgot to select churn. Significant while I am predicting churn. So I had selected churn. I am trying to understand that thing. See, churn, gender is, can you see all of you? Yes, no? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
So in churn, gender is more deciding factor or significant variable. Then it is last transaction, then it is age, and then it is correlation. And when you don't have a data with you, don't make this comment, otherwise you will be wrong. Again, I am did those because it was not I was not able to run that one. So split again, sorry, 80% I am training the data and 20% I am making it for test. When you build the model, you have to build the model on entire 100%